Hey funguys! So before we begin, all the footage of the game was taken from my live streams with Dredge, and if you haven't been attending them and you like this video, I totally recommend joining one of them, because you get to see me get scared of otherworldly sea creatures and other things. Alright, now for the real video. It all started when I got a job listing for an angler. I was on my way to the location when I got picked up by what looked to be a level 9 tornado spell from Clash Royale. I then woke up to the thumping of the mayor, which bears a striking resemblance to your average Discord moderator. Then he straight up gave me an entire boat and the most life-saving piece of information, and off I went. It didn't take me long to become the most skilled mushroom fisherman, but that glory didn't last long after I struggled to dock my boat for a solid 30 seconds. But yeah, those are what I have so far on my Funguy cam. How do I dock? Alright, this boat hates me. Okay, wait, what if I... What? Oh, F to dock. Soon, the mayor gave me a loan for the boat he gave me, but I knew it was a cover-up for his true intentions. Subsequently, I walked into the fish market and met none other than Mr. 𝓯𝓻𝓮𝓪𝓴𝔂. He told me about the guy before me, then the shipwright who has equipment for my boat. So after like 10 minutes of learning how to drive a boat, I thought I was ready to take on the wonders of the night. It is late, but... no, night diving never hurt anybody. After I remembered that the boat had no rocket launcher installed, I went to beg the mayor for one, and instead he gave me a package that seemed to be dripping slightly, so one can only imagine what was being kept in the box. And when I arrived to the little Marrow, the dock worker was waiting there, but when I gave him the package, he didn't even let me see what was in there. Around a minute after I left the tiny Marrow, I discovered that I wasn't able to perform the name of the game. Dredge? Oh, dang. I can't do the main name of the game. Is there gambling in this game? Anyways, I paid off that quote-unquote debt, and as a form of thanks, the mayor opens the dry dock for me, which will basically turn my level 1 crook of a boat into a level 100 mafia boss boat. Pretty soon, however, the game was about to show me a dash of its true form. Whoa! That's quite awkward. The All-Seeing Cod. Staring outwards, unblinking, eyes borrowed from a larger being, but not the mind to process what it sees. Why'd the music stop? Seeing this, I decided that after catching a ton of mackerel that I would ask the fishmonger about it, and he, did something a little sussy. And then he somehow finds a handkerchief inside of the fish and just gives it to me. He might have knew something would have happened if he kept it, because all of a sudden, a man spawned inside of my boat and started staring at me. And then, he told me to meet him at Stone Isle, so that he could look at the handkerchief. And when I got there, I gave him the handkerchief, and in return, he brought my boat meaning, a purpose, a reason to sail the 7 seas, dredging equipment. Oh wait, before I move on, he mentioned that there are lost relics which will likely be found around shipwrecks, and in return for each relic I've given, he would give me new abilities for my boat, so asking people about nearby shipwrecks could be important for later. Alright, so after I fulfilled my life's goal of edge dredging, I asked this old lady about nearby shipwrecks, and she did, but said that it would be smarter if I didn't. But as we learned from my fungal video, fungi have no brains. So of course I went to where I thought she was referring to, without a second thought, but then I encountered what looked like a fart cloud mixed with ketchup. What is this? I don't like it anymore. I changed my mind. And soon, I had caught yet another one of these creatures. According to this game, they're called Aberrations, which sounds like a cool term and all, but it would be a lot easier if you just called them spooky fart fishies, because it gets the message across that they're abnormal, and it's more easily understood even for 4-year-olds. Remember, spooky fart fishies. Don't forget it. Spooky fart fish. Eventually, after hours of searching, I ended up finding the key relic, and for some reason, it took up more space than a cod, which is 77.5 centimeters, aka 30.5 inches, aka 2.5 feet. Wanting answers, I went to the mysterious man, and he asked me if I had the lock for the key, and if I did, my ship would probably have sunken by now. Besides him getting annoyed that the relics might have spread out farther than he had hoped, he gave me an ability that will probably end up saving not just a ton of time, but probably my life. Haste. So haste is basically the sprint in this game, and instead of there being a stamina bar that depletes because it's a boat, it increases my panic, makes the screen vignetted with ketchup red, and has a meter that, if I had to guess, probably makes me explode. Anyways, I caught 2 new aberrations. Spooky fart fishies. Then another, and then another. At this point, I believe the game has pulled out all the restrictions that made these aberrations so hard to come by, because now they're just a normal thing to find like every 5 minutes. Soon, however, I made the mistake of fishing way later than I should have, and in my rush to find a dock to rest at, I ended up finding some guy who had my level of fear, only rather than choosing between fight or flight, he chose freeze. And my goodness, he seemed horrified. But then, he told me that he saw a leviathan, and I probably would have done the same thing if I saw a humongous fish. But the main difference between me and him was that I had an unearthly speed, and he had an anchor that works outside of docks. I admit I was a little jealous of his ability, but anyways, he had a package that I was willing to deliver to the dock worker for him, but before he gave it to me, he mentioned that he could hear whispers coming from it, and it had dark fluid coming from a corner, and when I thought about it, it was probably just one of those talking cactus things mixed with, I have no idea, a slug. And that concluded the first stream. If you guys enjoyed the summary of what happened in this live stream, just know I plan on doing this for the other streams I do on this game, so keep an eye out for them. Usually there's some sort of interruption or something right when the outro happens.